Welcome to Southern California Prep Insiders Football Podcast. Tommy and Shotgun here with you. We've got our field reporters out there as well. Like always, we're going to start with our top 10. Then we got our top performers. Then we'll throw it out to the field. And then we've got our game predictions. Shotgun, are you recovered from the wild, thunderous Friday evening that was last week?
I mean, I'm used to the thunder and lightning, so it wasn't anything for me. I kind of enjoyed a little bit of lightning in the sky. But not so much lightning right above us like it was at Santa Ana Stadium on Friday night. So that was a little scary for everyone involved. That the lightning was popping trees right around the stadium. I mean, literally, we saw a picture after the game of a tree that had been struck by lightning and caught on fire right beside the stadium. So that was kind of a scary moment for everybody. Luckily, it doesn't sound like anyone got hurt. There was some hurt feelings in some of these games. So with people not figuring out how to play some of the games that were matched up, and some people having to move to Monday, some games got moved to Saturday morning, some to Saturday night. So a lot of work had to go in to get all the games played, but the majority of them did get played. So good job by most of the administrators figuring out a way to get these games played.
Yeah, and it was hectic. There's no way to put it. There was no easy way to solve this problem. It was. Especially when you got a game like 1 versus 2. I think they handled that one the right way. I think there were some kids that probably didn't get to go on recruiting trips and stuff like that. But, it is what it is. You can't really control the weather. Can I ask you this as someone from Georgia? If this was happening in Georgia, would they play it?
No, you do not play in lightning. I mean, the kids are playing with metal helmets, so you basically have something that will attract lightning or be more susceptible to being struck by lightning, I should say. So, you do not play in the weather. It's the same thing. The unfortunate thing for Southern California here was that there was kind of lightning all over the Southland, and it didn't really go away. So some teams tried to do delays. It did not work. The weather patterns kind of sat on top of the Southern California. So really an unusual situation for Southern California. But, like I said, proud of the administrators who did as much as they could to get these games played.
So for those of you calling California soft, do not. There is your Georgia native telling you that everything's okay. Shotgun, let's start with our top 10s. Who do you have on it?
Starting with our top 10, I got Upland, number 10 still. They beat Etiwanda 17-0 in a game shortened at halftime. But get this, I mean, they had 12 in the first half. They only played one half. They had 12 penalties for 131 yards in the first half, 10 of those on offense. The craziest drive for them, their final drive, they score a touchdown, a 7-yard pass to Taj Davis from Evan Rowe. But more importantly, or more interesting, is that it was a 55-yard drive, but it took them 111 yards of offense. That every 2 yards they went forward, they went 1 yard backwards, but they ended up in the end zone, so made it all worthwhile for them. So Upland stays at number 10 there. I got number 9, I got Cajon. They beat Citrus Valley 45-7. They stayed there. Jaden Daniels, 17-26, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Darren Jones, the Utah commit, 7 catches, 111 yards and a touchdown. They even used the seldom used drop kick. Tom, you don't see that very often. That's old school. But Cajon hasn't been able to kick extra points very well. They tried something new, and it worked out for them late in the game. So we'll see if they continue to do that. They've won 11 consecutive Citrus Belt games. How about number 8, Calabasas? They beat Newberry Park 56-6. We'll talk about them more later. But big game from Jaden Casey, 5 touchdown passes. Take care of business in that one. They beat up on Newberry Park. They got a big game against Oast Christian coming up this weekend. Number 7, Corona Del Mar. They tied Los Alamitos 7-7. So I'm gonna leave them at number 7. Unfortunately, this is the one example. I gave props to the administrators for being able to get these games played. This is the one example where they did not. A lot of confusion back and forth about whose fault it really is. Both schools are blaming the other one. Well, I couldn't play here. Well, you didn't want to play here. Well, we couldn't play. A lot of that going on. So unfortunately, this game, which was going to be determining first place, ends up tied 7-7. Both teams will get a tie. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, that actually helps both teams because they are both more than likely going to go to the playoffs since they will both end up tying for first place in their league in that one. Before the game was halted, Ethan Garbers did throw 7 for 11 for 91 yards and a touchdown. 4 of those passes going to John Humphreys, who had 77 yards in the score. So it's keeping number at Corona Del Mar at number 7, but very disappointed that they didn't get this one figured out.
I've got a question for you, and this might be over your head. I'm putting you on the spot here. Let's say they call it a no contest game, where just act like the game never happened. Would that mess with the numbers completely, or would it put the teams in a better position than a tie, or does the tie help both of them out?
The tie helps both of them out because now they They are one game advantage on these other teams in the league. I don't know if they would have considered a no contest. I don't know if that's even possible with a league game, so I'm not exactly sure on that. But in this regard, because there's a team that is behind them that already has a loss that would potentially compete for it, the fact that neither one of them gets the loss and they get a tie instead will help both of these teams in the long run in the league standings there.
Okay.
At number 6, I got JSerra. They beat Orange Lutheran 56-21. This was a Saturday morning game, and it appeared that Orange Lutheran didn't fully wake up for this one. JSerra took advantage of that, beating up on them 56-21. Caden Bell throws for 3 touchdowns. Munir McLean had 2 of those. He had 6 catches for 131 yards. We'll talk more about JSerra a little bit later as well. Chris Street in this one, 13 carries, 99 yards, 3 touchdowns, though. Big game on the ground for them. Number 5, I got Mission Viejo. They are now 4-4, officially 4-4, Tommy. But we still got them in the top 5. They had to forfeit 4 games. They got a big game this weekend at San Clemente, but they had a bye this past weekend, so we're moved them down to number 5, but they're going to stay in our top 5 because of what they've done on the field.
They're the only team to beat our number 1 ranked school, which we'll get to in a little, or I guess not school, our number 1 ranked thing. But we'll get to that in a little bit because they had a bye week. They're the only ones to beat it.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah. Number 4, I got Oaks Christian, 7-0. They beat St. Bonaventure 44-0. Zach Charbonnet did not play again, so a little bit of question there about that. Josh Calvert throws for 167 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also carried the ball 6 times for 51 yards and had 9 tackles. He does it on both sides of the ball for him. Mr. Williams stepping in for Charbonnet, 9 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown. How about number 3? We got Mater Dei. They fall down to number 3 after losing to St. John Bosco 48-14. They heard the chants "overrated" from the St. John Bosco student section, and I guess you could say that's true because they're now no longer our number 1, at least no longer my number 1. They're falling to number 3. Bryce Young, who's normally super efficient, he was getting chased for his life, chased around throughout the entire game. The defensive line on Bosco's side did a really good job of putting pressure on him. They timed up blitzes really well, doing different things. He was 23 or 40 for 312 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not bad numbers, but when he throws, he normally has like 77% completion percentage on the season. So he was sacked 4 times in this game. Just did not have the time and opportunity to find receivers like he normally does. Brew McCoy did have 9 catches, 115 yards and a touchdown, and Mike Martinez 4 catches for 63 yards and a touchdown. But that was pretty much it for the receivers there for Mater Dei. They snapped their streak of 22 straight on-field wins. And afterwards, it was kind of Bruce Rollinson, their head coach, didn't really know what the answer was. I can't really put my finger on it. We just didn't make plays. That's right. Bosco made a lot more plays than they did. So they slipped to number 3. I'm leaving Centennial at number 2. They're 7-0. They beat Norco 28-0 in a lightning-shortened game. There's only 12 minutes and 43 seconds of this game played. But Centennial, their first 4 possessions started in Norco's half of the field. They forced 5 turnovers in the first quarter, including Gary Bryant's interception on the first play and another one later in the first quarter, I think. Octavio Cortez, 2 touchdowns running. They snapped their streak of 30 consecutive league games scoring 40 points, but it's because they scored 28 points in 12 minutes, and they decided, we don't really need to play this game anymore once the Lightning stops. So they stay at number 2. Because Mater Dei lost by so much, I slid them down to number 3, leaving Centennial. I think Centennial's been really good. Mater Dei has some really impressive wins as well, but I'm going to move them down to number 3 for now. They got a chance to move back up. They're going to convincing win this week against JSerra, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Then maybe they'll move back up to number 2. Bosco obviously is number 1, though. St. John Bosco 8-0. They beat Mater Dei 41-18. They'll play Santa Margarita this week. 3 consecutive 80-yard scoring drives to start the game. They held Mater Dei to a field goal in the opening drive after they got to the 5-yard line. That's where the game was won initially. They took care of business early, put Mater Dei behind the sticks for a lot of the game. DJ Ualele had a lot of time to throw. He threw 5 touchdown passes. 3 of those going to Jake Bailey, 6 catches, 161 yards. The final one was a 30-yard connection on 4th and 10 because Bosco doesn't stop coming at you. They score 41 points in this and take care or 48 points in this, taking care of business in this one. Wait, I got 2 scores. Got myself mixed up. I got 2 scores written down in different places. I guess I didn't change something, but they dominated this game regardless of the actual score. It was a dominant performance by Bosco.
Yeah, big win there for Bosco. Here's our top 10. Number 10 is Calabasas. We'll talk about their game coming up later. We've got number 9, Upland. 8, Bishop Amat. 7, Mission Viejo, even though they did beat our number 1 team this week, which I'll get to when I get there. 6 is JSerra. 5 is Oaks Christian. 4, Centennial. 3, Mater Dei. 2 is St. John Bosco. So who could be number 1? Mother Nature.
Undefeated.
Well, no, Mission Viejo had a bye, so they beat him.
No, they didn't beat him. No, nobody beats Mother Nature. She always wins.
Felt like the appropriate time to do it. For any St. John Bosco fans, we do read the comments. For any of you that thought we were trying to slight Bosco, we were not. We're just making a little joke, trying to be funny.
You were trying to slight them. Just admit it.
Maybe.
You've been having them at number 1 all year, and they get the biggest win of the season, and you move them down. Wow.
No, Mater Dei was at number 1 before this.
Mm-hmm. See, you guys just trying to slide Bosco regardless.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will claim Thunder and Lightning as one of my top performers from last week. I'll give you your halftime break like always to talk about some other kids, but Shotgun, who do you have?
Let's start with Kane Savage from Western. You know the kid, has 100 yards receiving. It seems like every week.
I think we mention him every week, yeah.
I think we do because his name's Kane Savage, and it's just a dope name. But first, he does it on defense this week. We're not expecting that from him. He gets 2 interceptions, including one he returned 45 yards for a touchdown, a 47-35 win. Big performance for them. Mason Carvalho from Paloma Valley, the 5'5" quarterback. He ran for 270 yards on 27 carries, including 156 just in the third quarter. But they did fall in this game to Riverside Heritage because Ike Tuatala had 9 carries for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns in their win against Paloma Valley there. Brendan Costello from San Clemente. San Clemente seems to be going the right direction now because of Brendan Costello always. 15 for 25, 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, also had a touchdown rushing. Shamonte Rogers from Savannah, 234 yards rushing in a win over Santa Ana Valley. Malachi Vaipula from Aquinas. We talked about him last week because that was one of our games of the week. He had 3 sacks and a touchdown, a 1-yard touchdown run in their win. He was part of a defense that held Linfield Christian a negative 5 yards rushing. Yes. That's a pretty good performance there. Beaumont's Mark Vanderwood and Billy Johnson both had pick 6 interceptions in a 55-0 win. Richard Padilla from West Ranch, the game-winning field goal as time expires. Always got to give a little bit of love to the kickers when they have that happen. Drake London from Moore Park, 7 catches, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including getting the toes down in the back of the end zone for a late touchdown, even though they fell because Camarillo had James McNamara threw for 312 yards and 3 touchdowns, including 6 catches for 99 yards and a touchdown to Jack Holden, who also had 2 interceptions on the other side. So the 2 interceptions were probably the biggest deal in that game. Camarillo gets the upset over Moore Park on that one. Artesia's Travis Davis, 35 carries, 263 yards, 3 touchdown rushing. He also had a touchdown receiving in the win over Glenn. Glenn's running back, Edwin Udingwu, had 15 carries, 197 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion, but not enough in that game. He was their only offense. Keanu Campbell Caldwell from Milliken, 3 touchdown passes, 1 touchdown run in one of the few games that actually played all the way through on Friday. They get the win in that one, Milliken does. How about La Mirada? Puka Luagu, 40 carries. Tommy, 40 carries. That's a lot. But he only had 25 of those on Saturday. He had 15 on Friday. So
I'll count it. Back-to-back days, I'll count it.
So it's not quite as much wear and tear on the body when you get to split it up over 2 days. He had 246 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. La Mirada gets their first win of the season. They're now 1-7, the best 1-7 team in the nation probably because of how tough their schedule was. Noah Torres added 2 touchdown runs, an interception return for a touchdown. And then I got Workman's Ike Udingwu III, 282 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 165 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns. So a 5-touchdown performance. And Tommy, I don't need a break. I made it all the way through.
All right.
A lot less top performers when there's games that are getting called in the first quarter and second quarter. So
tough to pad the stats. My guy who definitely did not have a tough time padding the stats, however, on Friday, Johnny Hawkins from Campbell Hall. I got a lot of smaller schools in this one this week. 383 passing yards and 7 touchdowns for the Viking. Jay Keller from Rancho Christian, 177 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, and shotgun. He is a freshman on varsity.
Scary. I like hearing that. That means there's going to be some talent for years to come.
Patrick McMorris, of no relation to me, obviously, from Santa Ana, 203 all-purpose yards. Good day for him. Dalen Pedroza, from Orange, 141 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. You talked about Camarillo a little bit. Isaiah Lazaro, 10 tackles and a sack in their win over Moore Park, so he was all over the field. And you mentioned it already, Centennial's defense, 3 interceptions in one half. against Norco. Actually, 12 minutes. So that is pretty impressive. I'm sure Shane Ellingsworth, I didn't see any of the highlights, but I'm sure Shane Ellingsworth had some trouble throwing in the rain and the thunder, but it's tough to catch the ball in the rain, too.
And also with Drake Jackson and Corey Foreman coming off the edges of that Centennial defense coming at you, you want to get rid of the ball pretty quickly.
Look out. That's all I can say. It is time for us to go to our field reporters. We will start with Beverly, who is at Long Beach Poly.
Thanks, Tommy. Thunder, lightning, and rain. Oh my. Mother Nature is number one on our top 10 poll this week. Friday's lightning storm caused games all across the Southland here to be canceled. Here's a recap of what happened. Servite defeated Santa Margarita on Thursday. The Friars won 30-23. JSerra defeated Orange Lutheran 56-21 in a makeup Saturday game due to the thunderstorm. San Clemente won an important South Coast battle against Capistrano Valley 35-26. And of course, the game of the week, the nation's top showdown between number 1 and number 2. The Bosco Braves defeated Mater Dei 41-18. Today I'm here at Long Beach Poly to see how the Jackrabbits are preparing for their last regular season game. Let's take a look.
I like that excitement. Let's go. Let's go. Uh-oh. Here we go. Come on, skills you up. And go!
I'm here with Coach Stephen Barbie, head coach at Long Beach Poly. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much for coming out.
The regular season is just about wrapping up. How would you reflect on your first season as head coach here?
It's been a lot of fun. Ever since coming in February, dealing with the whole off season, spring football, summer football, and obviously rolled into fall football. We got off to a very quick start, and we played very strong in league. So, right now, looking forward to finishing out, our last game, winning a more league championship and getting ourselves straight for the CIF Division I playoffs.
How hard can we work right now? Come on, Coach. Come on, let's go, Mike.
You've coached at a number of different programs, from winning a state championship in Massachusetts to traveling to games by boat. What is your impression of Southern California football?
It's the best football, obviously in the nation. To be quite honest, Long Beach Poly being one of the premier programs in the nation, it's alumni. Very proud, just bringing, my successes in the past, things that I've learned from the various programs that I've been with, and, really just bringing Long Beach Poly back to the prominence that it deserves.
Oh, all right. You're going to get caught. Go! Run them down, let's go! Come on, Long Beach certified, let's go.
Long Beach Poly is all about community and tradition. What values are important to you in leading a football program?
You said it right there, community. The community involvement. Once I took over, we've been heavily involved in the community, from visiting the local children's hospital, to throwing free football camps for our youth, volunteering at all of our alumni's football camps in the summer, really just trying to get out and be there for the community. The community supports Long Beach Poly football, and us as leaders on campus, it's important for us to be able to give back to that community.
1, 2, 3,
Poly is 7-2 overall and 5-0 in league play. How are you preparing for Lakewood this Friday and the postseason?
We have a one-game approach. It's kind of that single-game mentality. I always tell the kids this is the best team we're playing all week, and we need to take that truly to heart. We prepare for every single opponent the same. Whether it be installs on Monday, what we do on practice Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and then implementing and executing our game plan on Friday. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
Thank you so much, Coach, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
State championship on 3. 1, 2, 3. State championship. There we go.
Looking ahead to this Friday, Mater Dei will be playing JSerra on Fox Sports Prep Zone. Tesoro is at Capistrano Valley, also streaming on Prep Zone. Orange Lutheran is playing Servite. Mission Viejo is at San Clemente. Bosco is playing Santa Margarita. And of course, Long Beach Poly is up against Lakewood. Special shout out to my alma mater, Fountain Valley, heading into their annual rivalry bell game against Edison this week. Good luck to the Barons. Back to you, Tommy.
Shotgun, what about those Jackrabbits?
Long Beach Poly now has 3 straight shutouts. They're outscoring league opponents 193-21 through 5 games. They really turned on, their performance coming through the season. That's kind of what you see with a first-year head coach a lot of times. A little slow to start, but they're coming on and playing really well in league play. They'll go into the playoffs, and we'll see if they can make some damage.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do. They are definitely, they've definitely picked up the pace. I saw them earlier in the year, but they're looking like they're doing a little bit better. Now, next, so over to Connor at Eisenhower.
Thank you, Tommy. This past week in the Southern section, we saw football games get rescheduled, some even canceled because of the crazy thunder and lightning in the area. Today, I'm at Eisenhower High, and once again, Mother Nature is not cooperating. It's not rain, it's not snow, it is wind today. Didn't want my camera to blow over, so I've moved my operation inside to the Eisenhower team room, where earlier today, before practice, I had the chance to catch up with senior running back and defensive back O'Shea Davis. Unfortunately, Davis hurt his leg in Eisenhower's most recent win against San G, so the interview starts off on a bit of a down note, but from there, it improves because Eisenhower's 8-0, they're making the playoffs in Division 10, and they have really high expectations.
I got to go to my orthopedic and find out what's actually wrong with my leg, but I broke my fibula, and it was a clean break, so I should be coming back very soon.
You have a great outlook on that. Before the injury, you helped your team do a 7-0 start, and the 8-0 start against San G, you helped in that game as well before getting hurt. How have you guys been able to do so well this year? You're one of the top teams in D10.
Well, it was all off season. Like, we all worked together during off season. We got a bond together. Like, we had a lot more players come play for Ground Zero, which I think that helped a lot. And, you know, getting on the circuit, going against some guys like that you won't see in our league. So now everybody's playing above the level that we were playing in the last league that we were in.
You mentioned Ground Zero. Coach Griff does a lot of work with them, and I know your dad helped get into Ground Zero a little bit. What specifically about that group has helped you get better? Is it just going against some of the best out there?
Yes, I think it is. Just going against the best of the best out there and being able to compete against them, learning how good you are, being able to like sharpen your technique or what you're doing out there. So, yeah.
The coaching staff here at Eisenhower, very tight-knit group. I was in here earlier, and everyone's really friendly. It seems like you have a great group of coaches. How helpful have they been to this 8-0 start?
They've been very helpful, like pushing our spirits up, trying to keep us from going back to having the same attitude that we had last year, and just pushing our spirits up pretty much. So, yeah.
As a guy who played both ways, did you ever get tired out there? I mean, you're out there pretty much every snap, running the ball sometimes, defensively as a cornerback every play. How are you able to be in such great shape and just stay out there?
Just running when my coach tells me to. Just going out there, having to run back and forth across the field. And it's more just when I was doing off-season, I was with Athletic Republic, and I was on the treadmill, so like that helped a lot with my endurance and just opened up my lungs so I can do more than what I was used to able to do.
As a team that's 8-0, you're clearly doing a lot right. Is there anything with this group that you want to see you guys improve on as you head towards playoffs?
Just listening to the coaches, more of like being able to go to what the coaches tell us to do, like go in the weight room and all that. Like, there's not many people showing up to weight room lately. And we still gotta work, even though we're doing good. We still gotta get better and be ready for the playoffs.
Do you have a favorite memory from your time here?
No, I do not. It's not that I could think of right now, but every moment that I've been out here has been a great moment. So, yeah.
How about this season? Is there a game that comes to mind where you walk off the field Friday night late and you think, wow, that was one of my best performances that I've had? One that sticks out?
I would say either the Moreno Valley game, the Ontario game, or Rialto, because the Moreno Valley game, because I feel that I helped my team a lot going into the second half, being able to make plays for my team so we can keep going and like being able to score. And then the Ontario game, just because like I was just sparking off, doing what I do, is scoring and getting off the blocks and going to make plays. And the Rialto game was because that was the game that I've been waiting to play, and because I never had a good game against Rialto, that's my opinion. And I just feel like that I needed to get that out before I go off to college.
You blocked a kick in that game too, right?
Yes, I did.
So doing it on all levels. Let's talk about your recruitment a little bit. I know in June you received an offer from Sacramento State. How exciting was that for you to receive your first one?
It was very exciting. My whole family was happy. It took a lot off my back going into my senior year. So yeah.
What's your discussions like with those coaches, and just could you give me a general update on your recruitment, whether some other schools are talking to you as well, and just where you're at with them?
Well, I've talked to a lot of coaches. They call me every once in a while, ask me how I'm doing and stuff. And I asked them a couple questions about how, where they came from and stuff, so I can relate with them. So yeah.
One other question I have for you. Whether you can come back or not, you know this team very well. What's it going to take for you guys to finish the year undefeated and then go out and take Division 10?
People got to step up and do what they got to do to get out here and make plays for the team. We got to go to weight room. That's one thing that I really focus on. We got to get in the weight room and then just keep pushing those weights and stuff. So yeah.
That's O'Shea Davis. O'Shea, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Side, first team out. Hey, line up at same defense at 3-3. 5. Line up, first team out.
So there's the update from Eisenhower High. Let's move on to the game ball segment where I highlight some of the top players from the past week in the northern part of the southern section. I have to start at St. John Bosco, where Jake Bailey caught 3 touchdowns in Bosco's win over Mater Dei. We hear so much, and deservedly so, but we hear so much about guys like Chris Steele, Jude Wolf, Kobe Bowman. This performance from Bailey, this is going to get some national attention, and deservedly so. To cement your team, and he didn't do it all by himself, but he was a big reason why his team is now the #1 team in the nation, and they just beat their rival. And let's be honest, Bosco, a lot of people had him #1, but there were still some doubts. Could they beat Mater Dei? Jake Bailey made it happen, and I wanted to make sure he gets a shout-out from me this week. A great performance from him, a guy who deserves a lot more fanfare, a lot more buzz, and hopefully he'll start getting it after that performance. Secondly, I have one other game ball. Only 2 guys I thought deserved it this week. Demetrius Freeman from Knight High. We talk about guys in high school football doing it all. Freeman quite literally did it all. 3 touchdown passes, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 18 tackles on defense in Knight's 42-35 win over Antelope Valley. That is incredible. 6 touchdowns combined on offense, 18 tackles on defense. It just doesn't get any better than that. So Jake Bailey, Demetrius Freeman, you guys get the game balls this week. My pick, not really going out on a limb. I have Oaks Christian beating Calabasas on the road. That one is going to be filled with a bunch of star power. If you can watch it on Fox Sports West, I highly recommend it. Tommy, back to you.
Shotgun, what do you think?
Eisenhower's coming off a 21-20 win over San Gorgonio has to snap the Spartans' 29-game league win streak. San Gorgonio had kind of dominated the league. They're taking control. Eisenhower has with the San Andreas League race with 2 games to go. We'll see if they can finish it off. And as Connor mentioned, Demetrius Freeman from Knight. He also forced a fumble in that win over Antelope Valley. He's a two-sport guy. He's a two-way guy. He's also a two-sport athlete. He plays baseball for Knight as well. So he's a guy that does it all for that school. So love seeing those type of players that doing it in multiple sports and doing it on multiple sides of the ball as well.
All right, now we're going to head out east to San Bernardino, where Jessica is checking in with Cajon.
What's up, guys? Jessica here with head coach Nick Rogers here at Cajon. Now, Coach, you were the high school game time football coach of the year last year. First off, congrats. What was it like when you received that award and, here at your alma mater nonetheless?
Yeah, that award was obviously that's when you get a coach of the year, that's mostly, based on the team that you had and the kids that you had in the program. So, when it was coach of the year, it's really based on the players that we had and the job that they did.
Now, 2016, the team didn't do its best back last year. Now, 2017, you guys did really great. You made it all the way to CIF Division 4, becoming the champions right there. Now, this year, starting off at 7-1, why do you think this team has been so successful as of recently?
I think we got, obviously we got a lot of talent. We got some kids that can play football out here, and we're running around. That they stay together as a team, which is key for another title run. So they had a taste of it. Obviously, they want to get back to that level. So you see that kind of hunger right now. So we're excited about what we got going.
Now, can you talk a little bit about those players that have been standing out to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Jaden Daniels, who's been Mr. Everything here at Cajon. As far as what he does with his arms, with his legs, with his leadership, I think as far as quarterbacks go, I don't know if there's a better quarterback in the area, for sure. In the area, and I'd put him up there in a national level. Defensively, led by Jonathan Perkins, who was big time linebacker for us, has made a lot of plays, and collectively, there's some high power talent on this group with Darren Jones and Daniel Fortune and Rodney Robinson, guys out there that can flat out play.
Now, talking about some of the players here, we're going to head to the NFL for a second because you guys have plenty of players going out to play pro, plenty of players going out to play college. Now, DeMonte Casey is one of those players who has been doing great for the Falcons. As of recently, he went out there, he had 3 interceptions in his past 3 games. What is it like to be able to see these players going out there and making you guys so proud here at Cajon?
Yeah, what DeMonte's been able to do, not only for the Cajon High School, but for the city here. I think he's representing us well. He was a high energy guy here. He continues, he was able to see him mic'd up, so that was pretty exciting. I talked to him the other day. He's going to come back and check us out on his bye week. So, we're fired up about it. He's a great guy. Obviously, someone that has done well for, not only for the program, but for the city of San Bernardino.
That'll definitely be exciting to see, yeah. And he's definitely one of those guys that always goes out and reps San Bernardino, so that's really cool to see. Now, just a couple weeks left here in league, heading into CIF play in just a couple of weeks. Division III this time around. What can we expect from you guys?
These kids are, they talked about it. They want another shot at this. So we'll see if we come together fully at the end. Once we get to playoffs, everything kind of changes. The tempo should pick up a little bit. We've been trying to practice a little smart this year, and hopefully it pays off. We'll see what it looks like here in the next few weeks.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
How about them Cowboys, Shotgun?
I love me some Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is one of my favorite players, and when you throw into a 6'9" target like Darren Jones, it makes life easy for him as well. They've got weapons all over the place. The question for them is just, can they play enough defense to win games? That's always been the issue for them. No one's stopping that offense. They're going to score some points, so they just got to play enough defense and get it done on the other side of the ball. Yeah,
and that's a for real 6'9". That is not just made up for the roster there. When I saw them play against Marietta Valley, and the corners were laughing coming out the field. They're like, "What? He's too big." What am I supposed to do? We're gonna go to our game picks now. What do you do? There's really nothing you can do. I guess just. Actually, there's nothing you can do. You just gotta hope. Okay, what would you do against 6'9" guy? I think I would just climb him.
If you're a Tommy Morris sized cornerback, then you're trying to hit him in the gut. Hit him in the gut enough times, and he's not gonna catch it.
But that's where your face is.
I know. Hit him right there. You're not going to go up and knock the ball away if it's a high thrown ball. So just hit him in the gut, time your hits well, and then that way they don't want to go up and catch the ball because they keep getting. Nobody likes getting hit in the stomach.
No one likes getting hit in the stomach. If there's one takeaway from this podcast, is don't get hit in the stomach because it hurts. We got our game predictions coming up now. All these games are watchable on the Fox Sports Go app, provided that there's not a giant torrential thunderstorm on Friday again, and the whole world is collapsing and yada yada yada. First game, Trinity League. You kind of teased it a little bit earlier. It is Mater Dei looking to bounce back, traveling to JSerra.
JSerra's been playing really well. Mater Dei coming off that loss. Maybe there's a little bit of tape there that's, okay, this is the way you have to beat Mater Dei. JSerra, the thing with Bosco, they were able to get pressure on Bryce Young. JSerra has some guys that can do that. Sean Nielsen, the San Diego State, committed a defensive tackle, has 7 sacks. I think coming into last week, so I'm not sure if he got any this past week, but they have some weapons on the defense that can put some pressure. Can Mater Dei protect him a little bit better? Miles Murrow is a stud at left tackle, but the rest of those guys, this is their first year playing. Miles played last year with 4 seniors. Now they've got some younger guys that got mixed in. How does this offensive line bounce back? Can they run the ball a little bit better to take some of that pressure off as well? I expected, Sean Dollars, Jacoby Harper to have a little bit more of an impact in that Bosco game. They were not able to get going because the offensive line couldn't get going. And then on the defense side, the same thing. Mater Dei's got to get a little bit more pressure because DJ Ualele had all day to throw for Bosco. Caden Bell, you give him that much time, he's going to be able to pick you apart as well. Maybe not as good as DJ Ualele because I don't know if there's many people that in this country. I don't think there's a quarterback in this country as good as him as a pocket passer, even though he's a younger, he's a junior. But you give Caden Bell time, he's got some targets as well. Tariq Luckett, you got Munir McClain. Munir McClain is playing really well since he's come back from the ACL surgery he had in the offseason. So I think that this is a team that has the opportunity to beat Mater Dei, but I'm going to take Mater Dei's talent in this one. And also Chris Street, JSerra's key running back, 13 carries, 99 yards, 3 touchdowns last week. He got a little bit of a tweak in that game, had to leave, so I'm not sold on their rushing attack right now if he's beat up a little bit. So I'm going to take Mater Dei, even though I think JSerra playing at home has a great opportunity in this one to make some noise.
I'll take Mater Dei as well. JSerra, Caden Bell, you mentioned him. I saw him play against Bosco. He was very effective. And, I mean, he was clutch, too. It was like they would get some they get some good luck. They get a turnover, block punt, I think they had in that game. And both times, Caden Bell, they went right after the defense, and he was able to do it against a very good Bosco team. Next, we've got a couple Catholic schools. St. Francis traveling to Cathedral.
Catholic school rivalry.
Yes.
Gotta love that. Darius Barantes from St. Francis. He's been a dynamic weapon on the offensive side for them, the quarterback. He can run the ball, he can throw the ball. This past game, he only had 5 completions, but he had 209 yards and 3 touchdowns on Friday in that game. They're going to Cathedral, going to Los Angeles, playing a little backdrop of downtown. I love going to games at Cathedral because of that. Cathedral's got a 2-game win streak over St. Francis. They lost Bryce Young, we just talked about, at Mater Dei. He transferred from Cathedral. But Jared Haywood and Mekhi Jordan have stepped in and done a pretty good job at the quarterback spot. They've got Terrence Simon on the ground. He is a beast. He is tough to tackle. He's nimble, but he's a big dude. I think I'm going to take Cathedral playing at home.
I'm going to go with Parentes and St. Francis. Fun fact, I'm sure everyone knows it. His brother's an NBA player. So good athlete. Good athlete.
Usually helps.
Yeah, usually helps. He's not the tallest guy, but I think he's someone that you'll see at the next level. Next, we've got Tesoro going to Capo Valley.
Tesoro's 5-3. They staffed a 3-game losing streak with a convincing 37 win over El Toro last week. Their QB play has not been great at all. But Cameron Lamdy on the ground, he had 18 carries, 167 yards. Last week, Capistrano Valley, who's actually lost 2 in a row, lost 2 tough losses too, because they fell to Mission Viejo and San Clemente, both after leading in that game. They led at halftime, I think, of both games. Can Capistrano Valley bounce back? Nathan Manning, their quarterback, their Cal committed for baseball. He's thrown 2 interceptions in back-to-back games. So as he bounced back, I think he will. I'm going to take the talented quarterback in Nathan Manning over Tesoro's struggling quarterback play.
I'm going to take Capo Valley too. And if you really think about it, shotgun, if they would have played that Mission Viejo game 4 weeks earlier, they would have won it technically.
Technically, yeah.
Factor that in. Next, we got Paramount going to Ghar.
Paramount's won. They're only 4-4, but they've won 3 straight. They've got some playmakers. Demorie Polidori had 7 tackles, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble in a shutout that was called at halftime last week. Darius Wallace is coming off a 100-yard performance through the air. I'm going to take Paramount. I think they got more playmakers than Ghar.
Gonna keep it boring. I'm gonna go with Paramount. Finally, it's a TV game. It's a 7:30 start. It's on Fox Sports West this time, not Prime Ticket. It is Oaks Christian going to Calabasas. 2 schools that are very good and finally going to challenge each other. I am very, very excited for this one. I haven't got a chance to see either team live yet, so this will be my first shot at them. What do you think, Shotgun?
You look at Oaks Christian, they've got dynamic players on both sides of the ball. Then the question becomes, does Zach Charbonnet play? He hasn't played the last 2 weeks. Mr. Williams has stepped in, and that's a great name, by the way. 9 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown this past week. He's a guy that plays both ways for him. Josh Calvert, their quarterback, plays both ways. He had 3 touchdowns the last game. He had 9 tackles. He led the team with 9 tackles on the other side. Kayvon Thibodeau is obviously one of the best players in the country coming off the edge. So I'm going to take Oaks Christian's defense in this one. I think that they have playmakers at all 3 levels. Calvert can play. He's a safety. He comes down in the box. They've got another linebacker that's committed to Oregon State, I believe. And then Calabasas has a lot of offensive weapons. So it's that's the matchup to watch in this one. Calabasas, Jaden Casey, the Fresno State quarterback, he's thrown, I think, 25 touchdown passes this season. He's got 3 really good receivers, and Micah Pittman, Jermaine Burton, and Johnny Wilson. So, they've got weapons, but can they keep him clean long enough? Can they hold off Kayvon Thibodeau long enough for Casey to throw the ball downfield? I don't know that they're going to be able to do that. And I think that the Oaks Christian offense with Bryce Farrell, the wide receiver committed to Stanford, and then Charbonnet if he plays, I think they have enough weapons to win this one. So I'm going to take Oaks Christian.
The man's name is Mr., in case you didn't catch it. That was not Shotgun just being, polite and courteous. The man's name is Mr. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with Calabasas. I think they kind of had a little wake-up call in the first game of the season playing JSerra. They've been strong ever since, and they've kind of been leading up to this game against Oaks Christian. They've been getting everyone's best shot. in league play. Now that they're competing for that league title, I'm going to take them. I'm going to take the upset at home. I will go with Calabasas. Yeah. Raise the eyebrows on me. Yeah,
it's okay. You'll be wrong. It's fine.
It's okay. I will be there firsthand to see it, so I'll be sure to send you a lot of nice videos and pictures of me being right. Shotgun, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, I think that's about it. Hopefully we have a little bit better weather this week. And
please.
Get back out to the field and get some more action going. I didn't get, unfortunately, because of covering USC as well, I did not get to go to the Bosco Mater Dei game, but I did tape it. I did watch it afterwards. So, hopefully I get to see some action live this week.
You technically did go to the Bosco Mater Dei game on Friday. You went.
Oh, I went.
You physically went.
But I didn't get to see it. But I didn't get to see the game.
That's true. Okay, that's fair. Because same boat. I went, but I didn't get to see it. Obviously, I will say this: probably the most college coaches I've seen at a game.
Yeah, definitely. And it was kind of interesting seeing there were some coaches from the South, coaches from Clemson, coaches from Florida State. And, those guys were – and USC's quarterback coach, who was actually from Georgia, was there as well. Those guys were like, oh, yeah, this seems normal. This is this is the weather we're used to at home, where everybody else, like, at least the first, 8 lightning bolt strikes, everyone from California, shuddered a little bit. I mean, the first one definitely –
All right, keep going. Sorry, I clicked end because I shuddered because I'm from California.
You just ended before that.
That's right when I hit it. Okay, so yes, as you were saying, coaches from Georgia, I shuddered. Everyone from California shuddered. I made I had a foot in my mouth joke that it's actually a little odd that this happening. We're 0-0 because I didn't realize how many college coaches were there. We're all hiding in this awning. Coach clearly in a Clemson shirt. I thought it'd be funny to look over to him and be like, "Where are you from? Florida State?" He didn't laugh, and I turned around. The guy behind me actually was from Florida State. So not only did the joke not work, it also offended 2 people, and I just went and sit outside in the rain by myself because I had to excuse myself from that situation because it was incredibly awkward. But, Shotgun, thank you so much for joining us. Next week, last week of the regular season, and then what happens?
Playoffs.
We'll see you then.
Playoffs?